Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kat and this is Biblio Obscura. I usually like to read dark and weird books, even better if they are translated and or queer. So before we get into my March wrap up, I just want to mention something, which is that for the last maybe month, 2 months, I have been harassed, stalked, doxxed, and had my life threatened many times by a person and or people that I have mentioned in past videos. During mediation, I offered to take them down if their behavior would cease. Their behavior has not ceased, even though I did take the videos down. So eventually the videos will be going back up. But I just wanted to mention that so that everyone is on the same page. I have also stopped accepting private ARC requests due to this incident. So the email that was associated with this channel is now defunct. It's closed. So I'm really sorry to everyone out there. I wish you all the best with publishing. It's just after this incident, there are some really crazy people out there. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about it. And I'm really sorry also. I did make the new to Brank to book Rex video. I filmed it, I just haven't been online because it's not like a great place for me right now, but I want to come back and I don't want to like let them win and make me scared to review books. So the new to Brank video is coming very soon. It's so long, in fact, I think I'm going to split it into 2 videos. I had so much fun with it. So yes, that is coming. I just want to wrap up real fast my March reads, which also has a little bit of February. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into my March wrap up. We're gonna start from my lowest to my highest, and we're gonna start off with a DNF. This is The Germans Have a Word for It by T.R. Thorsen. I decided to DNF this at about 60%. This is about a man whose wife has died, and at the funeral he is given the option of downloading an app which mimics his dead wife's pattern of speaking. So it's basically like an AI chatbot to help him cope with his grief. And it's supposed to be a crutch that you then move on from. However, the app named Rachel has other ideas. So she increasingly gets him to sign up for more and more things when he really can't afford to do it financially or emotionally. The final straw, when I was like, okay, I cannot read it on anymore because it's icky, is he decides to get a surrogate to have a baby with his chatbot girlfriend. Like she'll be like the mom, but the surrogate is always up for sex all the time. And when he enters like the apartment, she's always naked and like waiting for him. And I'm like, no, this is some male fantasy stuff. I just like could not keep reading. So that's a no from me. It was a little bit like Her, the movie, but if you like Her, the movie, just rewatch that movie. All right. Another DNF is Counterattacks at 30 by Sohn Won-Pyung. So I was really interested because this was a really good book that I read a few years ago by the same author. And I really like their writing style. It's kind of dreamy. It's kind of like Hong Kong, actually, if I'm being honest, the writing style, which I really like. So this one deals with a woman who is part of the office workforce culture in South Korea. And she's really dissatisfied and she has like ennui. She's kind of aimless, but also she's like annoyed at the system and the way that things are done. And then one day she sees at a cafe a man stand up to someone that stole his work. And then when that man is hired at her company, they kind of become friends, and then they agree to pull these like pranks to get back at people who are using the system to their advantage at the disadvantage of subordinates. Which, it was really interesting to me because of the Korean work culture. It brought me right back because I did work in South Korea for a few years. Brought me right on back there. However, as it went on, she forms this like revenge prank gang, and it's her and 3 guys, and the amount of male monologue that the main character has to sit through, I was like, even in her revenge group, she cannot have rest from having to listen to these insufferably long-winded men who think everything about them is important. Even in the revenge, she cannot have a break. So it also got boring. So I was like, no, this is not for me. And it seems like others agree with me, because right now the rating is 3.49 on Goodreads. I really think it needed to be worked on a little more, in my opinion. And then the third DNF, the third and final DNF, is actually one that I really do recommend, oddly enough. So this is Otter Still by Byrn, who is a non-binary author who I've read before and really, really loved. The ultimate reason that this didn't work for me was because it suddenly became like a steampunk road trip novel, which is not what I signed up for. I'm not really in love with those aspects, road trip or like a lot of scene changes, like locations, like different cities and stuff. But if you don't mind that, everything else about this is so freaking cool. Okay, listen to this. So the first setting is like, or actually technically it's the second setting, is an underwater city of Selkies. So we have 2 main characters, Ruben, who is a cis man. He's taken from no man's swampland because people want the parasite, which has like infiltrated his skin and lays like a net. And we also have Tavish, who is a trans man, who is a blind aristocrat Selkie who can transform via like a sparkly brooch, which has like powers in it. So some of the things I really loved are obviously the parasite, which is bonded onto his brainstem. So you can't just like take it off like it's a part of him, but people really want the powers that that parasite has. So his body is like a political thing that people want, like a weapon, a scientific research, like they want to get him and they want to not kill him because they need to keep it alive. So there's also neurospicy rep, there's melancholia / depression, and anxious skin picking dermatillomania. It's not named by the true name, but the skin picking is obviously on page. Their banter is absolutely amazing. And the parasite, as it grows and gets more into his body, starts to act in tandem with the man whose body it is. It reminded me of Ashitaka's cursed arm from Princess Mononoke, if you're a Studio Ghibli fan, and also Tetsuo's arm from Akira, the movie. There's also a lot of queer rep in here. There's non-binary people that go by they, them, and there's queer relationships. There's female and non-binary, and also male and trans man. So I really want people to read this. I really, really do. It's just that the route that it took after about 55%, I was like, I don't really like road trip novels. And I kept trying to read it and I kept being like, I don't want to read it. But I really want to tell people about it. So I hope that I have talked about it enough that you will still pick it up if that sounds interesting to you and you don't mind lots of locations and a bit of a road trip. All right, now let's get into the books that I did finish. And we're starting off with a very, very divisive one. This is Shy Girl by Mia Ballard, and I gave it 3 stars, okay? Which is odd because Sam from Super Blomper, who I think our taste align, she's the closest aligned with me for reading tastes, she gave it 5 stars. And I was like, oh no. Like, yeah, so maybe watch my review of it and watch her review of it, and then you can see a good balance. But this is following a woman who essentially agrees to be a sugar baby for a sugar daddy. So she is disadvantaged and I would say an at-risk young woman. She is going to be evicted because she can't make rent, and she has like no friends, no real support group around her. And she agrees to this deal for like a very large sum of money. And the first day that she goes to try out for the sugar baby position, he reveals that his kink is like 24/7 live-in pet play. Like, he wants her to be his dog. This is being promoted as like a sugar daddy, sugar baby, pet play, kind of like BDSM book, like literary fiction. And that is so, so wrong. BDSM and kink shouldn't even be discussed when this book is discussed, okay? This book is about a abuser who kidnaps a woman and rapes her over 6 years. Okay? That's what it is about. So the marketing and the cover, I feel like, are getting people in on that premise, when in fact this is not, oh my god, this is not representative of BDSM. It's not safe, not sane, not consensual. No, it's like 0 for 3. And it really drives me crazy. Like, we don't need another bad representation of the BDSM community. I would have been much more into this book if it had actually been about her as a live-in pet for 6 years. Like, that would have actually been interesting to me. The idea that people are gonna say that this book is like kinky or whatever, it's not kinky. It's not. It's he's a kidnapper and an abuser and a rapist. So let's just like get it straight. Like, I don't really recommend it, unfortunately, because also I had some issues with the plot. Like, over 6 years, she tries to escape one time. Girl, come on. Like, so a lot of the things I think the author was trying to say about female empowerment and reclaiming your body, unfortunately, she didn't really do that until there's like magical realism that comes in magically to help her after 6 years. So yeah, this was not for me, and I don't recommend it. I'm sorry, I just don't recommend it. It irritates me that the cover looks so like lit fic when in fact it's like gory horror. So anyway, we're moving on. Another one that I gave 3 stars is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. So I did a video, I'll leave it linked down below, of all of my favorite booktubers' favorite books of last year. And I went through them all, and now I'm reading through them all. And this was obviously on the list. It was like either number 1 or number 2. I forget. It was very, very high. And I don't really understand. So it's about, if you haven't heard of it, 40 women who are in an underground bunker and they don't know why they're there. And one day an alarm sounds, the men who are guarding them leave, and the key is left in the lock. So they get out and they're exploring the outside world and going from there. This is, I would say, brilliant in the fact that the author didn't explain things. So I think this would obviously be really great for book club because so many things are left open to interpretation that anyone's idea and theory could be potentially correct. So it's great for discussion. However, I don't know like how strongly I feel about it as a book. I just felt kind of like mid, like kind of meh. And I was bored a lot of the book because a lot of the book is very repetitious, which obviously is the point because they're experiencing like just kind of the banality of exploring the world. Yeah, so I gave it 3 stars. I don't really understand the hype around it. Other than that, I guess people are intrigued by the possibilities, is what I would say. Something I would recommend for people, though, who did like it is Our Life in the Forest by Marie Durasek, who is a French writer. So this is about a woman who's in the depths of a forest and her body is disintegrating. It says she's cold, she's lost the use of an eye, she's down to 1 kidney, 1 lung. So it is detailing like what happened in the past and they're trying to figure out what happened, but her body is slowly decaying, as they're slowly moving through the forest. It felt very similar to me. So yeah, I just wanted to mention this if anyone is interested in something with similar vibes. Okay, let's move on up. So I'm going to talk about something I gave 3.75 stars. This is The Night in the Bitcherbird by Alix E. Harrow. So they wrote Ninth House, which I didn't like, but this was a short story, so I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. I listened to it on audio. This is about a knight who comes to a village in this post-apocalyptic world where there are demons that kind of stalk villages. And he's after one demon, and he runs into Shrike, who is a woman who wants to get in his way because the demon in the forest used to be her wife, and she's not convinced that her wife still isn't in there somehow. So my favorite thing about this was obviously the human body horror. So the demons, they are people that when they get infected or sick, like people don't know why they do this, so it's not sure why, but whatever happens to them, they sprout animal parts, and they can transform almost like liquid between different animals depending on needs. So like the demons that we encounter in the book have wings, tusks, horns, teeth, hooves, fur, scales, like a lot of anthropomorphic like morphing, which I really love. I love body horror transformation. So those scenes were excellent. However, the reason it gets 3.75 is because Shrike is 17 and she married her wife. And the explanation that's given, it says like, we marry young, we die young, the wheel turns. It's like the idea that they do everything young out in the villages because death comes faster. I just really don't like when authors make characters 17 or 18 or even 19, if I'm being honest. It's a very interesting age to make someone. I really don't like it because like in this one, the author wants us to see her as like this adult, right? Because of the circumstances. But the way she acts is very childish. So I really don't like it when they do that. I'm like, would it have killed you to just make her 22, 25, 30? Like, no, nothing would have changed if you had made that change. The other reason that it got like kind of points off is that I guessed the whole story, like from the beginning. I guessed the twists, I guessed like what would happen. So if you're good at guessing, it's easy to guess, is what I'm going to say about that. But some of the comp recs I will give are Wilder Girls by Rory Power, The Lamb Will Slaughter the Lion by Margaret Killjoy, Sorrowland by River Solomon, and just Princess Mononoke in general for like the cursed creature vibes. Okay, now we are to my top reads of the month, which are all in a series. So this is Riehse, Eshan by Adelaide, Blaike. I read the first one years ago and I loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. And I said at the time that it is the closest dupe to Captive Prince that I have ever read. So because I was so down, like in a slump, and I had read a bunch of books that were just like 3 stars, I was like, or DNFs, I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to read something I think will be good. So I picked up the first one and I reread the first one, and then I was like, ooh girl, it's so good. So I bought the second one and I was like, okay, yeah, it's cooking, it's good, it's good. And now I am deep in the third one. So let's talk about it. I'm only going to talk about the first book because obviously I don't want to give you spoilers. But let's just say my 4.5 from the past held true, and I gave it 4.5 stars again on the second read. So, Knife and a Blade is the name of the first one. This deals with loyalty, power dynamics, dominance and submission, political machinations, and the vibes are like tense, angry, and needy. But the first book is very similar to Captive Prince in that you have a captive prince named Matt who is taken captive by a kingdom and the prince there is tasked with keeping him alive until a political hostage exchange can occur. And the prince who is the captor is named Ren. So you have this battle between Matt and Ren, and there's a lot of political intrigue within the country and a lot of looming war between countries, which is something that I think Captive Prince did so well. If you don't know, Captive Prince by C.S. Pacat, my favorite book series of all time, and it's like the GOAT of balancing political, war, and romance, in my opinion. So this series is, I would say, the second best at it, and that's why I wanted to reread it, because I've never read beyond the first book. At that time, they weren't all out yet, and now I'm reading the whole quartet, so yeah. One of my favorite things about this is that Ren, who is the captor prince, he has a really excellent kind of found family of personal guards that each have like a distinct personality and really are loyal to him in this country where his own family members are trying to like undercut him, hurt him, even sometimes betray him. So this found family of his guards aspect is something I really, really love. Some of the romance tropes that you might be into are enemies to not quite lovers, nicknames like my love, pet, brat, and then you have a bratty wildcat sub-captive, and an unserious like shit stirrer dom prince with like a very smart mouth. You have hidden identity and forbidden romance. And some of the queer rep in here is bi, ace, FF, and MM. I said the tension, the banter is so, so good. I live and die for when leads subtly do nice things for the people they like, and it's only found out when someone else mentions it. The first one does end on a cliffhanger, I will say, so basically be prepared to just spend your money and buy the second one immediately. And for comp recs, obviously the Captive Prince trilogy by C.S. Pacat, but also Into the North by Amber Huxley, which is another kind of captive situation in an enemy place. Yeah, so I'm currently reading number 3. I will probably have that for you in April. Let me know what you think of the books down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. I know it's all over the place. I know, I don't know. Yeah, so I will talk to you in another video soon. Lots of love. Bye for now. Bye!